Welcome to PodcastOne. We hope you'll support our sponsors who bring you these podcasts absolutely free and with limited interruptions. And of course, we appreciate you listening to this show, which will get started in just a second.
The Steve Austin Show is sponsored in part this week by DDP Yoga. On this show, we have a lot of famous athletes and celebrities, but this is a story about a regular person. Her name is Erica, and thanks to DDP Yoga, she now has an amazing and inspiring story to tell. Erica had struggled with weight her entire life. She was ridiculed, and as a teenager, tried to end her own life. Erica eventually got married, had kids, but lost everything in a house fire one day. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but 10 days later, Erica lost her job. Despite her poor health and state of being, she knew she had to be a better example for her children. Inspired by the numerous videos of DDP Yoga success stories, Erica started the program and managed to get her nutrition and health under control. After dedicating herself to DDP Yoga, Erica, who started out weighing 326 pounds, was able to lose 160 pounds. DDP Yoga can work for all ages, weights, and fitness levels. It provides a tremendous cardio workout with minimal joint impact. So don't wait. Go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and check out all the great deals DDP has for listeners of the Steve Austin Show. There's also the DDP Yoga Now app for working out on the go, available on iOS and Android. Again, go to ddpyoga.com/Austin and be on your way to not only changing your life, but owning your life.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting on my couch at 316 Gimmick Street, watching Monday Night Raw with my dogs, Callie and Moolah. And Triple H just turns around, wham, kicks Jason Jordan in the gut, bam, plants him with a pedigree. Holy smokes, Triple H just inserted himself into the number 5 spot of Team Raw. Now, I DVR all the Monday Night Raws and all the SmackDowns, so I got to understand what the match is about, but it was a pretty good piece of business. I really like the way the angle turned out. Triple H making his return to the ring and planting that one on Jason Jordan. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this kid and what they do with Kurt. Earlier, the kid had gotten a quick win over Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt got a little heat on him and then left. And then Paul Heyman sold me a ticket to the next pay-per-view by cutting a promo with Brock Lesnar. Now, Finn Balor has made his way to the ring, and he is about to get into battle with an opponent I do not know because I have a sound turned down. But god dang, I'm watching wrestling right now, and I'm fixing to talk pro wrestling with a friend of mine here in Los Angeles. Dude's name is Mike Ryan, trainer of the stars. He's trained damn near everybody out here in Hollywood. He's trained high-level athletes, regular people, and dude is a blue-collar guy from Boston, Massachusetts. And moved out here many, many years ago. Just fell in love with, with sports and weightlifting in general. Came out here to make a living for himself. And it's just an interesting story. And we're just shooting the breeze, talking about bodybuilding, talking about pro wrestling. And god dang, it's really neat because Mike comes from Boston. And his dad was a wrestling fanatic. And so Mike grew up hooked on the wrestling business. They used to go down to see Bruno, Sammartino, and they were hanging out with mobsters and gangsters and going to the matches. And so, man, we're shooting a breeze about old times, stuff like that, about the good old days of bodybuilding, coming out here to Venice, California, paying his dues, getting started, and just talking sports in general. It was a good time catching up with Mike. And I told him, I said, man, this is my family-friendly show. I said, can you talk without cussing? Because you're probably the only guy I know that cusses as much or more than I do. And he kind of had this funny look on his face. He goes, I can try. So anyway, Sean, my producer's got his work cut out for him. There's a couple F-bombs we've got to flip around and take care of. But I told Mike, I said, you got to come back. We're just going to talk about wrestling, pro wrestling, and just stuff. I'll leave it like that. So he's coming back, and that's we can take the filter off. But it was great catching back up with him. You'll hear his story. And god dang, man, I looked down at my damn computer just now. I had no idea that it was November 13th. Man, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and it just seemed like the other day I was at the Home Depot, and hell, it was, what was it, August? And Home Depot already had the Halloween stuff out. And now Thanksgiving is almost upon us. Hell, we're getting ready to head over to Texas. In a couple of days, I'm going to head down to the storage place where we keep the RV, drive it home, pack it up, get ready to go down there to Edna, Texas, and see my mom and my dad and my family and do the Thanksgiving thing and then make the drive back here to Los Angeles. This will be the first trip we've had to Texas in quite some time. And it's going to be interesting because normally we're already in Texas at the Broken Skull Ranch. And it feels weird to still be here in California on November 13th because we're always down at the ranch. And I was talking to my wife the other day. I said, man, what is the deal? I said, it's getting dark so soon. And she goes, it's because of the time difference. Your dumb ass is used to being in South Texas, where it's 2 hours later. Sun goes down right about 6:20. And she said, we're still on the West Coast. Hello? And I was like, God dang, I can't believe it. Anyway, I'm looking forward to going to the storage place, getting my RV, driving it home, packing it up, and headed down I-10 to go down to Edna, Texas, see my family, my friends, and go catch up and have a good time. And God dang it, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody. Another thing I'm looking forward to is getting my damn pickup truck out of the shop. I haven't heard from the repair place yet. I don't know what it's going to cost to get my truck fixed, but I'm ready to get it back. And when I do get it back, I'm probably going to drive it out to the storage facility so no one tries to steal it out of my driveway again. God dang it. I'll tell you what, these mean streets of Los Angeles, when I say the mean streets of Los Angeles, I ain't kidding. Hey, man, before we get to my buddy Mike Ryan here on the podcast, I want to say thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Broken Skull Challenge. Man, the women tonight, crank it up to a whole nother level. Stay tuned from here on out. Set your DVRs because it's about to take off into another gear. All the competitors at the Broken Skull Challenge have been awesome this year, and I was proud to hang out there and shoot that show with them and watch them compete at the highest level. Anyway, I'm going to cut this open short right here and get into business. I'm coming right back with my buddy, Mike Ryan.
Hey, it's Jay Moore, and it is time, finally, for America's Lakers podcast. That's right, I'm going to be hosting America's Lakers podcast. My man, Aaron Larsoul, an analytical genius, he's going to bring to the table what I can't every Wednesday. America's Lakers podcast exclusively at PodcastOne.com, the PodcastOne.com app, which I highly recommend. You can rate and review this podcast on all Apple products. And guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to bathe in the gossip and the gratuitous negativity that's been swallowing Los Angeles whole lately. Who did what? Who snitched? Who said what? How about truth? How about facts? How about statistics? How about rotations? What's Luke Walton thinking? Who's underperforming? Who's overachieving? Who's rewarded? Who's coming? Who's going? And what are we going to do with all the delightful, delicious cap space? America's Lakers podcast with me, Jay Moore, and my man, my brother, Aaron Larsoul, every Wednesday, PodcastOne.com.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
All right, I don't know where to start with this podcast because this is a family-friendly version, and I got the only guy that cusses more than me sitting across the table from me. My name is Steve Austin. My buddy is Mike Ryan. He's a trainer to the celebrities, high-profile executives, regular folks. He's from Boston. Now he lives out here in California. Dude, I've known you as a trainer forever, and I've seen you forever.
Yeah.
And you always look, like $1 million.
Thank you.
Didn't know as much about your modeling career.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about pro wrestling because that's my main crowd.
Right.
And you grew up in Boston, a huge-ass wrestling fan.
Huge fan. My dad, here's a great story. My dad, he didn't have a father, so he was raised by gangsters. So as kids, my dad would be like, you tell all the gangsters, look, I got to take my boys out. And we would go to the gardens. And these guys had carte blanche. We would get dropped in this big, giant, black Continental right out front. Even the wrestlers would be like, who the hell are these kids getting out? You know what I mean? Thought we were royalty. We go through. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So we go out and of course, all the gangsters, all the Italian, the first one we'd have to go see was Bruno Sammartino, the king of the Italians. Yeah. So we're in the back room. Here I am, just probably, 9 years old. And I was just like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Here I am hanging with the champ, Bruno Sammartino, go to watch him fight. It was probably like, Waldo von Erich or Haystacks Calhoun. I mean, the old times. It was just fantastic. I loved wrestling. Every month they're in town, my dad would take us to all these gangsters' house. Of course, we have to wait from the, play cards and let all their girlfriends go home. And then we go to the matches. And it was just awesome. Just sitting there we had the best seats ringside. It was so much fun. I mean, the best memories. One of the scariest moments of life when I was a kid, all the gangsters, they go, yeah, you got to yell at these guys. You got to yell at these guys. And, George the Animal Steel was coming up. So I'm thinking, all right, you're a bum. He looked at me and I threw a cup at him He absolutely went nuts. He chased me. He jumped through the audience, jumped over the barrier. I jumped over seat to seat. I'm screaming bloody murder. I'm like, this guy's going to kill me. But it was fantastic.
How old were you back then at these ages?
Oh, yeah. I started going to matches probably from like 9 to, till I moved out here, 9 to 19.
So as a kid, I mean, I've told my story many times. 7 or 8 years old, I started watching the pro wrestling. And for me, it was real. So back in, when you're hanging out with the gangsters, it was real, right?
Absolutely. And my dad, because he was a pretty big guy, he used to train. Like the wrestlers would come, and my dad, like the gangsters were funny, you know. They had all these, you know, apartments in like the projects of Revere, and they would just knock out walls and make gyms, homemade gyms. So all these mobsters would have all these big wrestlers come in town, you know, Bull Sasso, all these famous wrestlers that would go on the circuit in the early 50s, you know, and they would just train. And they'd invite my dad to train with them. My dad was like a big son of a gun, so they started working out. And that's when my dad's like, whenever they're in town, we got to go to wrestling. I love these guys, you know. And I would just see these guys. They were bigger than life. And of course it was real. There's no doubt about it. You know, even till this day, I'm like, of course it's real. Are you nuts?
Here's the thing. You can enlighten me on something I've always wanted to know about, because you got a chance to see the man live and in living color back in the day. Bruno Sammartino. I know he's a living legend. I know how big of a draw he was. But what was it about Bruno back in the day? Because he was mega over and you were there.
Yeah.
What was the magic to that man?
Working class. You know what I mean? He appealed to all the working class people of the world. It's like, you know, my dad, everyone's dad. You know what I mean? You didn't see your father growing up because he had like 100 jobs. He worked. You know, mom stayed at home, so he had to work. Weekends he worked. They were always working. So you see this Bruno Sammartino guy. He was just rough, rugged, and he was a working class guy. No robe. Used to just come out with he did all the things Mike Tyson did years ago. Just come out with a towel. You know, he wasn't flashy. He just came out there and he just wanted to fight. And I'm like, that's the guy you want to be. He works sun up, sun down. He's ready to kick butt all the time.
Hey, man, you said your dad, well, I read that your dad was an avid bodybuilder. He trained, just like you just said.
Yeah.
You guys are hanging out with the gangsters.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to hang out with Bruno? Because I'd heard back in the day, I heard Bruno was a big bencher. He was a strong guy, barrel-chested.
Yeah. Yeah, no, super strong, but I never got a chance to train him or see him train. You know, he was such a draw. Like some of these other guys would hang out and, you know, my godfather would cook for half these guys, you know, but he was such a draw that, I mean, I'm sure his schedule, I knew you guys, your schedule was brutal when you were young, but I can imagine, you know, it's always like those guys had it hard, those guys had it. I'm sure when he was a younger guy, I don't think they had a day off. They probably had to do 2-3 times in a day, you know. So
right.
He never had time. But he'd be like, I'll see you guys in a month.
Before we leave the wrestling scene and start talking about some other stories, I know you're fond of Bruno. I mean, superstar Billy Graham was right there in with that mix. Tell me who some of your favorites were that came through there that you either feared or loved.
Oh, superstar Billy Graham. The first gym I went to was this dirty hole-in-the-wall gym. It was right on Route 1 in Peabody, and it was, you know, 15 minutes from the Garden, and it was an old hotel. And these guys, again, it was all run by gangsters. They vacated like 7 rooms of the hotel and just made it a gym. And the gym was right across the street from 2 strip joints. It was like the only strip joints in New England. So these guys would let me go because I would pick up their weights. I would say, hey, I'm just 12 years old. I can't afford a membership, but I'll pick your gym up if I can train. And they just loved it. You know what I mean? They're like, who's this kid to take my bicycle on the freeway just to work out? And Billy Graham walked through the door one day. Blonde hair, body of a goddess. And I just saw him. I remember him training arms on a preacher curl. And his biceps were so massive. I'm like, this guy is the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was in awe. Ever since then, I'm like, Billy Graham was the best.
So growing up, man, you played college football.
College football.
But what position did you play?
I was a tailback. Yeah.
Dude, you toted the rock.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What was your 40 speed?
My best time, when we had the combine, I did a 4.49. And these guys are like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah.
What were you weighing?
Probably at that time, most 192, I think, because they do your whole stats.
4.49 and 192.
Yeah.
That's getting it.
Yeah. But here's the funny thing. I grew up in the 80s. And right now it's like you get your Ezekiel Elliott, you get your small, quick guys. But in the 80s, you had Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, Marcus Dupree. I mean, backs back then, they were 6'2" to 6'4", 250. You know what I mean? That was the marquee backs. I mean, everyone just went bigger and bigger and bigger. So I just kind of got lost by the wayside.
So what happened? You got a scholarship to University of New Hampshire.
Yeah, played at University of New Hampshire. Didn't make the pros. Got to play in Europe though, so it was a pretty good. Had some fun. We were like the precursor to the NFL Europe. So we go out there, teach the sport, do exhibition games, and play some games.
Dude, tell me about playing football in Europe. Because, I mean, when I think Europe, I'm thinking rugby or this, that, or whatever, or soccer. I don't think about American football.
No,
so,
and it wasn't.
Especially back in that day.
Yeah. This is the late 80s. So it was funny because cable just hit London. So the only shows they're watching is Falcon Crest, Dynasty, Magnum PI. So they think every American is this rich playboy. So we show up and we're, I'm average height, but some linemen are huge. And I mean, we had fan clubs. Like women were like, take me to America. I've seen Magnum. I've seen Miami Vice. You know what I mean? These are the only shows that they were exposed to. So they thought every American was a rich playboy. I mean, everyone was getting action. I mean, even big, fat, dumpy linemen, they're going home with models. You know what I mean? So it was a fun time to be out there.
So how long did the Europe gig last?
It was just 1 year. 1 year.
It's a reality check and say, hey, man, I got to get a real job.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Came back, started working for James Bulger, Whitey Bulger's brother in the state.
Really?
Yeah.
Doing what?
I worked in housing.
Here's the thing. Mike just came over a while ago and said, hey, man, can you help me move a carpet? A big piece of rug. And he carried it over with us. This is where the body's at.
Totally.
He goes, that reminds me of my days growing up in Boston. Well, okay, so you were doing that over there. What brought you out to Cali, man? Because a lot of people, I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time. Yeah. And, Bud, and there's kind of a clique of guys that decided to move. I don't know if you guys even knew each other back then.
No, yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
You met out here in California.
Met out here.
What made you, was it the budding modeling career, or how did you get discovered, or you decided, hey, man, I'm going to Cali because Boston and Cali is a big trip?
My whole thing was to go to Gold's Gym Venice.
You were that fanatical about bodybuilding, you had to go to Mecca.
It wasn't that I was a fan of bodybuilding. I never competed, but I just loved training. I love the essence of training. When I played, I studied all about musculature, anatomy, biology, that our strength coach had me sign on as his assistant. So I was served as an assistant strength coach. I just loved it. I was in the gym all the time just training. Then I realized, man, I got to get to Gold's Gym Venice because that's where everyone hangs out. So during my career, it was just so crazy. I just told my dad one day, I said, I can't work here. I said, it's just nuts. There's just so much madness going on. You can't understand how the state operates, And he's just like, what do you want to do? I said, I'm quitting everything. I'm going to drive out west. I have a Jeep, packed it up, and drove all the way out here just to hang out in Gold's Gym to see what would happen.
Did you have a plan?
No plan. Technically, I was going to go back because I started getting my credentials to teach. So I was going to be a teacher because I was doing that a little bit too.
Because what did you graduate with?
A degree in history.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was going to come back, teach, and, kind of just be the teacher coach and establish my little white picket fence back in, Peabody. But
dude, that's what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah, I think we all do. But I came out to Gold's and I think when you put your mind to something, it just manifests what you really want to do. So I would always, I had these pictures of me training at Gold's Gym. I would make these things up and, have like a focus board, unrealistic or not even realizing I was doing it. So I started training at Gold's and I started getting, friendly with the owners. And the next thing you know, it's like, do you have a degree? I said, yeah, graduate. I'm going to probably teach back in my life. Why don't you stay here and work at the gym? And it never even thought of me to work in the fitness industry because in the East Coast, it's not a profession.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you're a welder, your dad's a welder, your dad's a plumber, you're a plumber. You're kind of following what your dad does. So it just these doors open up, and I was like, wow, I never thought of working in the health and fitness field. I think it'd be pretty wild.
So you get to Cali, total different landscape than what Boston is.
I
mean, it's cold over there. Yeah. People are different.
Oh,
they're good people, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's a whole light year.
There's a whole different mentality.
So
you know what I mean?
Tell me about the adaptation period in Cali.
You know how it is, because it's like in New York or Boston, East Coast, it's I like you, you like me, I don't like you, you don't like me. You know what I mean? But here it's like, I like you, but maybe I can manipulate something out of you, or it's, you know what I mean? There's a little shiciness toward California.
That's come from a guy who grew up with gangsters.
yeah, you know what I mean? There's a whole shiciness. So you have to have a learning curve. Yeah. It's like you don't take people.
Did your background in the streets or with those guys? I mean, you probably
absolutely,
gave you a little bit of savvy.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you can read right through these guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. Pretty easy to break down.
So you come out there. Who were the big stars? Oh, what year was this?
1990. I first started going to Gold's Gym. Yeah, and you go in.
Who were the bodybuilders on top back in that
day?
Back
then it was like the tail end of Lee Haney. Dorian Yates was coming up. It was like the surge of the 225 Arnold Schwarzenegger was over. It's the 90s. You had Lee Haney competing at 250. Then you had Dorian Yates start showing up 270, 280, 290. Then you had NASA. You had all these just monsters. So it was an evolution of like, okay, this guy's big to these guys are freaks, which I thought killed the sport.
Right.
They started rewarding these guys for being so damn big and so damn freaky that it took the aesthetics away.
So you dig at aesthetics more so than just mass?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at the body. I mean, I'm not bashing bodybuilders this day because that's what the sport is, but I mean, they have extended bellies, and it's just, to me, I don't think it's an aesthetically or pleasing good look. It's an abortion.
Favorite bodybuilder of all time?
Oh, it has to be Arnold. Yeah.
God dang, I was talking to C.T. Fletcher, and I threw out Flex Wheeler because of the physique. Mm-hmm. But if I had to say my favorite or the classic physique or to me the best physique ever would be Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah. Proportions were terrific. 6'2", 225, 230, narrow waist, just heaps of muscle, and still ridiculously lean and shredded all the time.
How many times have you seen the movie Pumping Iron?
Oh, I mean, it plays on a loop in Golds. Here's the coolest thing. Arnold and I became really good friends. I go to his house now. I hang out with him. We have dinners. He's the greatest freaking guy in the world. I mean, you got to come by, watch a fight or something. He is so wonderful, and he's constantly motivating, whether he wants to or not. He has a thirst for learning. I mean, he just turned 7 years old, and he's just like, so tell me more about this. What's your training? What's your training methods? Why'd you do it that way? I mean, he saw me running one morning, 6:30 in the morning. I was running. I was past the pier, and he was on his bicycle, and he stopped on his bicycle. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm running. He's like, are you in trouble? I said, no, it's 6:15 in the morning. It's still dark out. He's like, you just ran at 6:15. He goes, you're like 3 miles from the gym. I said, yeah, I'm going to turn around. I do like almost a 5-mile loop. And he's like, so you're going to go back and hit weights? So I said, no, actually, I already trained with weights. He goes, well, what time do you train? I said, I trained at weights at 4:30. He's like, so you train 4:30 now, 5:30, running 6. He's like, sorry for your honest. And he just goes, off and rode away and just rode away. And I was cracking up. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And the next day he was so inquisitive. He's like, all right, how much you weigh? I'm like, about 220, 225. He goes, you run for 5 miles and you train for an hour. He goes, how much you eating? I mean, he was so like into my training and so passionate about training. I was like, this is awesome. I mean, he's the greatest bodybuilder, probably one of the greatest, action heroes ever. And he's asking me questions about training in my life. And it was a really, really neat moment.
Hey, well, when you came out here to Cali, you got the job at Goals, and you first start on as an employee, then you start running the place.
Yep.
You hook up with the EAS.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a good-looking guy.
Oh,
I'm sitting across the table. But you don't get a modeling career if you're not a good-looking guy.
Right.
And you got a physique as well.
Yeah.
So you walk the walk, you talk the talk.
Thank you.
How'd you start getting the modeling gigs? Did you pursue that, or
no?
Was this one of those discovery stories where somebody just saw you and said, "Hey, man, this dude could be a model"?
That's exactly it. I hate to say it, that was exactly it. When I ran the gym, I would always you never want to train during peak hours because everyone would be like, "Hey, Mike, I got a buddy coming in. Hey, I got a membership probe. Hey, you know what I mean?" So I'd be like, "Oh man, I want my 90 minutes myself." So I'd either train at either 4 a.m, dirt early, or basically when it was closing, like 11 at night. So you know how it is when you go to the gym. You want your own time, get in your space. It just happened one day. I'm like, oh my God, I was like going to go to a basketball game. So I trained for lunch. I'm training. I just see this guy just burning his eyes through me. I'm like, oh, here we go again. You know what I mean? He's just like, hey, are you a model? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a pretty big model. He goes, oh, really? I said, yeah, I model socks and umbrellas. You've probably seen my ads. And he just he didn't get it. I said, no, I'm just messing with you. I'm really not a model. He's like, you should model. I said, yeah, I never thought of myself as a model. I always thought a model is like degrading, feminine term. It's like, I'm not a model. I'm an athlete. I've played sports and stuff like. He's like, no, I used to shoot for Joe Weider. So I'm like, what's your name? He's like, Cal Yee. He's this Asian guy. I said, oh my God, of course I know who you are. You shot for Weider for years. He's like, yeah, I'm working for Bill Phillips. I said, oh, I know Bill. He has metrics. He said, well, Bill just sold metrics, and he just started this company, EAS, and he's looking to get a bunch of endorsed athletes, guys who are drug-free, to be his, spokesperson. I'm like, wow. He goes, would you take a drug test? So I'm like, well, what are we testing for? And he goes, we're testing for steroids. I'm like, well, I can pass that one. That's no problem. Yeah. So the next day I went to this clinic, peed in front of a bunch of guys. 2 days later, he goes, let's do a test shoot. Did a test shoot, and all of a sudden there's pictures. I was even shocked because, you know what I mean? You never see yourself in film. All of a sudden I'm like, wow, damn, I'm pretty good looking. Yeah, so even Bill called me. He's like, he was just, because Bill used to always train at Goals with the brother Sean. And I just see them and always pass. And then for the most part, I always wear a shirt and tie, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to be like, I'm trying to make the job professional. So, like, he was funny. He's like, wow, you son of a bitch. Like, oh, and he goes, you're in amazing shape. We never knew. We always knew something was under those shirts and ties. But, man, you're shredded, everything. He goes, I'd like you to be my spokesperson for EAS. I was like, wow, I'm honored. That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
When they asked you to take the drug test, when you said, what we're testing for?
Yeah.
What else were you into?
Well,
okay, you weren't into steroids, but what were you into? Because that caused alarm.
Yeah, really. I mean, we're living in Venice. Everyone's high. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially at the gym. People are smoking weed morning, noon, and night. I mean, you walk down Venice Boulevard, you just get stoned just walking in the neighborhood. Yeah. So everyone smokes weed.
Man, if you're just walking down that sidewalk, the Venice Boardwalk, whatever it is.
Yeah,
dude,
Venice
it's a mile from here.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. You and I probably live 2 miles from each other.
Yeah.
But we never see each other because I stopped training at Goals.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Goals. God dang, the first time I rolled in that place years ago, when I was a wrestler, because I'd never, flown until I got into business. Came out there and, you get in a loop and, you follow what everybody else does. Mm-hmm. You learn the small loop in the United States, then you learn the world tour. You just learn everything about it, everything's a loop, right?
Yeah.
So, man, we're working L.A. or we're working wherever right out of L.A. But we have to go to Goals and train.
Yeah.
I'm like, I go to Goals. I'm kind of a hermit.
Yeah.
And so I said, I don't know about that. I said, I'll give it a try. So, man, sure enough, we loaded up with the Goals Gym, and God dang, it was awesome.
It was.
You got all the bodybuilders there. I mean, that particular Goals Gym, and that's why they call it the Mecca.
Yeah.
And with the parking situation, I don't know what it's going to become, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But just being there. But when you walk in there, if you like motivation, as soon as you walk in that door, you are massively motivated.
The electricity was shocking. You could feel it through your body. The coolest thing when I ran the place, this was after the riots. There was still madness because behind the gym there was still the Crips, there was the Mexican Mafia, the Bloods. I mean, there was so much anger that there was a writer for Time magazine. He was doing the thing and, going through everywhere. And he's like, I'm going to stop at Gold's Gym and see how, I mean, it's kind of, Venice back then, there's a gang zone. So he wrote this article, which was so profound, and it opened it up. I wish I saved it, but it was like, never in one roof did I have like enough energy for my hair to stand on still. But I witnessed gang members train with cops, porn stars train with priests, you know what I mean? Bodybuilders train with wrestlers, action stars train with directors. It was a modern day Hollywood golf course. There was more movies being made, more banter being told, and more weights being thrown around. And there was this really cool article about how Gold's captured the flavor of everything. And anyone from any walk of life would just come through that door, and you'd be like, I'm here to train. No more BS. Let's just get it done. Yeah, and and when I worked there, I couldn't wait for you guys to show up. You guys would bring so much energy and so much fun. I would tell the guys, I'd be like, all right, 2 more days, the boys are in town. Everyone in the desk would be so fired up.
You remember that picture? It's been floating around for years. You're in a picture. It's me, Flair, Hogan, because this was the time. It was one of the rare times when both companies were in town at the same time.
Yep.
And so Savage is in the picture, Big Show's in the picture. I think Billy Gunn, Bob Holly.
I think Kevin Nash.
Yeah. It was just kind of like a who's who.
It's unbelievable.
And dude, it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to go there. It was just neat to see the guys because, dude, growing up in South Texas, I was a huge bodybuilding fan, and of course I followed powerlifting through Powerlifting USA, the magazines and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, you get out there. It's just amazing. And then I remember it was on my first shoulder surgery about 8 or 9 years ago. Here's how long I've been gone from Gold's Gym. I need to make my comeback. I always talk about it. I'm glad to make my comeback. You've seen my little weight set up here in the yard.
I see you hiding at the car wash.
On occasion we cross paths. But I was coming back from my first rotator cuff surgery, and it was a major surgery. They fixed everything. And I was over there training, and I won't say the lady's name, but you'll know her when I tell you. We were training. I was training shoulders. She was training shoulders as well. And man, dude, I was over trying to do 20-pound dumbbell side laterals, and she's using 40s. Dude, I'm talking textbook form, jacked. That's it, man. Here's the part of the story. Well, here's the part of the movie where I changed body parts. I started training arms. Yeah. I wasn't going to train shoulders besides this chick for nothing. She's blowing me out of the water.
Oh, that's
I'm on the comeback trail to begin with, but she was just in impeccable condition.
Yeah. I had a funny story, Mike, because my first experience, I went to Gold's for a spring break. So I'm playing college. I'm thinking, all right, I'm the cat's ass. I'm going to walk in this gym. I'm going to tear it up. And I see Tanya Knight. Tanya Knight, if you don't know, she was this bodybuilding woman who was stunning. I'm like, I'm going to go train in this girl. I'm going to show her what I got. So same thing. I'm going to grab the 20. She grabs the 20. So I'm going to grab the 30. She grabs the 30. So I'm going to grab the 40s. She grabs the 50s. I go, I'm going to grab the 45. She grabs the 60s. I grabbed my bag and I walked out. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm not ready for this place yet.
Hey, man, whatever happened to her? I remember her, blonde hair, great physique.
Yeah,
she had a pretty good run.
Yep.
But then I just never heard anything because, back in the day it was Corey.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then she came along.
Yeah.
What happened to her?
You know what? You reconnect with everyone. Thank God for Facebook. You just reconnect. She's in mid-America, just living life, She always keeps saying, I'm going to come back and visit. So I'm sure she'll come back someday soon.
How has the Gold's Gym culture changed? Because you and I have a mutual friend, and Chris Bell had the documentary, which is awesome, Bigger, Faster, Stronger. And there are people that used to live at Gold's Gym.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to go to Gold's Gym back when I was doing two-a-days. And there would be, some guys and gals as well. And, man, dude, every time I would show up, they would be there. They wouldn't leave. And the one guy during the documentary was living in his van.
Yeah, sure.
But there were a couple of people, and I could describe to you right now, and you would know who they were. They might still be there. But there were people that actually stayed there all day long.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in a bad way. I just don't. I think some of them didn't have a home.
No, there wasn't. It was the best neighborhood gym in the world as well. And it lost that feeling because back then we had one principal owner. I had complete autonomy. You know what I mean? If I wanted, like the guy who lived in the van, I'm like, I'll give you a membership. Just at night, pick up the parking lot or just make sure, walk the building, make sure for security. And the owner was like, that's awesome, Mike. You know what I mean? We're here to help people, But since it was purchased and it's now under a corporate structure, it's like the same old corporate structure. All right, you got to get this sign from Texas. You got to get this sign. You know what I mean? Everything. It's like, all right, we're going to change a light bulb. All right, instead of just changing a light bulb, they got to go through 5 people to get a light bulb change. You know what I mean? It's still the coolest, the best gym in the world. But for liberties and, a neighborhood feel, I think it lost a little bit.
Who's the strongest guy you saw go through Gold's Gym?
Oh, boy. Ronnie Coleman was a beast. He used to train there. Mike O'Hearn is in his young day. Mike O'Hearn would just throw around weights. It was just frightening.
Mike O'Hearn still, maybe not the weight that he was throwing around, but he walks into any gym in the world and he's the strongest guy there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a freak.
And has that impeccable form.
I know. Yeah. His whole life is just training. You know what I mean? He dedicated his life to be in fitness.
But you did too.
On my tombstone, it won't say dedicated life to fitness. It'll be like dedicated life to fitness, good times, chasing girls, drinking. You know what I mean?
Okay, before we go to the drinking part of it, because that's a great subject to jump off of. When you were talking about the gangs back in the day, Venice and Marina Del Rey, a little bit of Santa Monica. We're talking Venice, Marina Del Rey, or Venice specifically. No, it's the same area.
Yeah.
Dude, these streets can get a little sketchy, once the lights go down.
Yeah.
More so back in the day, like you were saying.
Oh, boy. Dude, back in the day.
You're in the wrong pocket of town, mister, at dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the wrong part of town.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to get lost. When I ran the gym back in the day, I used to have security who would walk people to their car. And I had people you had Hollywood's elite, you had, like you said, CEOs, Fortune 500 heads, people from around the world would come to that gym. And in the gym, it was cohesiveness, it was unity, there was love, there was camaraderie. When you stepped outside that gym, it was a war zone, you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's still remnants, there's little pockets here and there, but it's definitely cleaned up amazingly, tremendously.
Man, when you went over to my house a while ago and helped me move that rug.
In the body.
Yeah, in the body. Kayfabe. Hey, I have 2 scales in my garage. And those 2 scales, one of them used to be on the Santa Monica Pier, and the other one was there at World Gym. And I bought those things from Joe Gold, probably about 8 or 10 months before he passed away.
Okay, wow.
And I remember it was back in about 2007. I was about to go to Australia and film The Condemned, and Joe wasn't doing very well. Mm-hmm. And, right there in the corner of Lincoln, Washington, it's now Firestone Walker Brewery. And I said, I better go over and, say goodbye to him because I just got a feeling, he might not be here when I get back. So I went and said goodbye to Joe. And it was the strangest conversation I'd ever had with a guy because he was all, kind of just pilled up, pain pills. There's a lot of misery. And had this conversation. It was just whack. And I said goodbye to Joe. And sure enough, I went and filmed The Condemned. And, Joe passed away. I still have those 2 scales in my garage next door. My question to you is, Joe Gold started the original Gold's Gym. And then did he sell out? What was there animosity between Gold's Gym and World Gym because he spun off? What happened or what went wrong?
Joe, he had the gym, you know what I mean? And Joe was a merchant marine. He wasn't a businessman.
That's the key thing right there.
He was a creative guy. He created machines. He actually had designs in his head, and he actually formulated and built and designed so much fitness equipment that people use today. So Joe, when you go to his gym, there was no business sense. It was all just, you're here to train. I don't want to hear music. I want you here to train. I don't want to hear if you have any money. I want you here to train. So all these guys would show up, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you have to pay rent. Oh, what's rent? You know what I mean? I get the strongest guys in the world there. Well, you have to pay for electricity. That's electricity. I got Arnold Schwarzenegger working out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So his business savvy wasn't there. It was another guy named Ken Sprague who purchased it. And he kind of had the name, and he's like, well, he thought Gold's would be better in Santa Monica, and they moved it to 2nd Street, right next to the Pussycat Theater, which was crazy because you get a gym full of bodybuilders right next to an X-rated movie theater. So these guys would come in, they do a set, and they go next door, watch about 300 points, and they try and come back. You know what I mean? Those guys were running back and forth all day long. It was insane. They work out. They're like, I got a bone. I got to go next door.
But that Gold's Gym had great equipment. The World Gym, where I met my wife, had killer equipment. A lot of it, like you said, Joe made. Mm-hmm. And then Mike Yurt came in.
Yep.
So whatever, that thing disappeared.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts of Joe? Because when I was at World, obviously I didn't know him at Gold's, but at World, I was, me, I'm pretty calm and low key.
Yeah.
When I can get rowdy, but if I'm going to come into someone's gym, I'm going to be respectful, and I was. And Joe took a liking to me. Yeah. And you probably know Joe was cantankerous. If he didn't like you, he didn't like you.
Yeah.
But if he took you in, if he gave you a nickname, he really liked you.
Yeah.
Because you had a nickname for everybody.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got in, and I got a chance to get to know him a little bit. But what were your thoughts on the man?
Well, back in the day, at this time in the 90s in Venice, Venice was the fitness capital of the world. There was Gold's Gym headquarters, there was World Gym headquarters, there was Powerhouse headquarters. There was 13 gyms in a square mile. It was the fitness capital of the world. So I first started working over at Gold's. We always had a great relationship with Worlds because a lot of guys would come back and forth. We'd have equipment such and such. So I said, man, I got to go meet Joe Gold just for shits and giggles.
You got to.
Yeah. Right? So I went over there. I'm all excited. Here I am, brash. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I'm the manager of Gold's Gym. I go in there and, his buddy always worked the door. Zabo.
Yeah.
He was there just.
Zabo Kozowski.
Yeah. He was there. He just probably smoked a joint. He was stoned as shit. And I'm like, hey, I'm Mike Ryan. He's like, that's good. I'm like, well, can I see the place? He's like, yeah, go have it. I said, is Joe around? And we were like, he'll find you. Something, whatever. So, I'm walking in a shirt and tie, and I hear like, what are you, he was like, what are you, the building inspector? And I see this little old guy. I said, no, I'm Mike Ryan. I'm running Gold's Gym. He's like, no, you're the building inspector. Why don't you get the hell out of here? I'm like, no, I'm seriously, I'm running Gold's Gym. I just want to meet you. You know what I mean? You're kind of a legend. You're an inspiration. You'd be like, you look at the other guys. You'd be like, yeah. Building inspector here. But he was nice, but he was still cantankerous a while, and he would talk, but he wouldn't give, be like, you do that. He would yell at people while he was talking to you, like, right. He kind of knew his whole surroundings pretty well. All
right, Mike, let's take a little pause for the cause here for the sponsors to keep this show on the air for free. When you're looking to buy a car, it's important that you're getting real pricing on actual inventory. Often enough, this is not the case, as people configure cars online only later to find out they're not available. But with TrueCar, you get real pricing on actual inventory. This is not pricing from TrueCar, but from an actual dealer, and even more so, a local certified dealer of your choosing that is committed to offering you a competitive market price. TrueCar users are more likely to enjoy a faster buying process when they connect with TrueCar certified dealers. There are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. When you're ready to buy, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states. While we're on the subject of cars, you better get some insurance for that vehicle. And why don't you save hundreds of dollars while you're at it? All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. You can finish listening to this podcast, and immediately after, go to geico.com and get yourself set up. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. I'm coming right back with Mike Ryan, Trainer of the Stars.
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, they can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Pro wrestling fans, join me 4 days a week on the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we cover Raw, SmackDown, the hot topics in pro wrestling, and interviews with stars on camera and people who work behind the scenes, such as ex-creative team members. New shows drop every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you can hear me and co-hosts cover professional wrestling like no one else. With 30 years of experience, I cover pro wrestling with an independent voice, unaffiliated with any wrestling company. Recent guests have included Jim Ross, Teddy DiBiase, Jack Swagger, Lillian Garcia, Sean Mooney, Stan Hansen, and more. Find my show at Apple Podcasts, just search Wade Keller, or on the PodcastOne app.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Hey, I need to stay in shape because of who I am and what I do. And I like staying in shape. I feel better when I'm in shape.
Absolutely.
But sometimes I can lose my motivation, but it's just something, that I, am compelled to do. Every time I've seen you, you always look impeccable. How do you stay motivated?
Thanks. I try to live constantly motivated and live life with passion. I think you have to have passion in everything you do, and it projects a better lifestyle for you. And also being where I am, and I did this on purpose. I mean, I'm in Venice Beach. I'm in the fitness capital of the world. I'm surrounded every day I wake up. I'm in the gym with the best bodies in the world. So as much as I think I'm the cat's ass or I'm in great shape, not even close. There's going to be any second, there's going to be someone through the door that I'll be like, wow, that boy's in shape. Or, wow, that girl is phenomenal. That girl did that. That guy did this. And it's going to constantly motivate me to make myself better in every aspect of my life. And like you said, being in fitness, like anyone can teach you to train. I mean, I'm not saying it's an easy profession, but after a while, if like I show you how to train, you don't need me anymore. What makes me invaluable in my career is everything I teach you, I'm going to do that you're going to do, but I'm going to do it 100 times harder and 100 times better until you beat me. And the day you beat me is the day we don't train anymore. That's when you can leave. So I always have to constantly push myself because we're in a very visual, aesthetically pleasing world, and that's the profession I chose. I don't want people to say, it's like going to a dentist with no teeth. I want to walk in. I want to be in a room and people say, that guy right there, that guy's the trainer. That's the guy that I'll listen to.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what motivates me.
Going back to your days in Boston, training with the gangsters and your dad, and then coming out here to Cali, seeing everything you've seen, all the fads, all the BS, all the systems, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't work?
For me, daily dose of iron, and that's it. Bands, all these things stabilize. They're all good, but for me, and this is my personal preference, I love iron. I love lifting iron. I love throwing iron around. I love training with weights. There's nothing better. For me, that's my constant battle. I look at that weight, that's my enemy. I'm going to throw you around today. You either can kick my ass or I'm going to kick your ass. And I prescribe to it. I mean, you follow me on Instagram, I'm going to try and lift as hard as I can every single day, lifting weights.
But you're working with different people. So say that, the business executive, he just wants to be in shape.
Yeah.
Are you going to go full body with this guy, or is his schedule going to dictate that? I know you like to meet the people, maybe have a meal with them.
Yeah.
Get to know them a little bit, kind of feel them out, and get your read on them.
Right.
Coming from your Boston background.
Yeah.
The gangsters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you yourself, you're a body part a day, once a week.
Yep.
5 on, 1 off.
Yeah, well, actually, sometimes I don't even take a day off. I just keep letting it roll. But it's 5 on, 1 off, and I just destroy my body.
Okay, man. Sometimes people will say, because I'm with you, 5 on, 1 off. I try to go 5 and 2, but I'm so ADD I can't.
Right,
so
and
it's
same
5
way.
and 1,
Yeah.
or I'll just rotate back and not take the day off because life's going to throw a day off at me anyway.
Absolutely.
So I'll do that. But there will be people out there that say, hey, man, 1 day a week is not frequent enough to spur growth. People will say that. Now, I've been doing it for a long time. Dude, I don't look like $1 million right now, but you've been doing it your entire career, basically.
Yeah. Well, it will all get it. I mean, every body type's different, and the people, what I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like we talked about Flex Wheeler on occasion. Flex Wheeler, he was a genetic specimen. He had a waist of a bikini model.
Right.
He had muscle bellies that were as big as your TV right here. He was that big and sometimes he would train half-ass and take 2 or 3 days off. And you couldn't argue because he was a genetic specimen. And when it came to train, he would train harder than anyone in the gym. So every body type is different. So every workout's got to be geared to that person's body type. There's no set answer. In training, I find there's no set answer. To lifting, there's no set answer. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa.
It's always interesting because you're just naturally, you see the guy with the biggest chest in the gym. You say, hey, man, what do you do for chest?
Yeah.
Well, it probably turns out that his chest training routine might not be that great, but he just has such outstanding genetics.
Yeah,
whatever he does works. Yeah. So he can tell you what he does, but it might not work for you.
True. That's so true. I mean, some of the biggest guys in there are doing dumbbells at 60, and I'm like, oh my God, I trained at 60s when I was in 8th grade. You know what I mean? Are you kidding me? But then, of course, their chests are 52 inches, 55 inches, you know, so you'd be like, can't argue with them. Yeah, so everyone's different. And that's through fitness, you know what I mean? Whatever you do, you got to do what's geared for you.
You got to do what's geared for you, but also you have to put in the work. Because I was going to ask you before you came over, but you're too damn busy for me to ask you to make a list. No, you are. I mean, you get up every morning, you do your training, and you have just an ass load of clients, so you're always doing something. But I was going to ask you what your keys to looking great are, or that you would recommend to somebody, because, for example, consistency, dedication, nutrition, or just, but you have that Boston mentality. So
well, one of the first thing is set a short, obtainable goal. Because everyone wants to be like, when you come to the gym, I want to get shape. I want to get in shape. I want to get shredded. I want to get huge. Okay, what's your goal? Everyone needs a goal. You need a goal in life. You need a goal to pursue. You need a goal to achieve. You need goals, especially when it comes to fitness. You can't just say, I want to get shredded. Because you're going to lose focus. You're going to get sidetracked. You're going to go with your buddies. You need a short, obtainable goal. So everyone I work with we make a goal from 4 to 6 weeks. And you have to achieve that goal. And you get in the mindset. It's all about attaining goal achievement. You write it down. It's like if it's a physique you desire, take a picture of it, put it on your phone so you see it daily. Challenge yourself daily, but have a short, attainable goal. And for all your listeners out there, that's the best way to get motivated, especially now during the holidays, because we all look for excuses. Thanksgiving coming up. All right, I'm going to eat like crap. I'm going to be drinking with my buddies. Christmas coming up. I'm going to eat like crap. New Year's Eve coming up. I mean, don't use that as excuses. Use that as motivating factors. And if you like to go out, like us, you know what I mean? Just say, okay, we're going to go out, but the next day we're going to make a goal to be in the gym that much earlier and work that much harder.
And you hit the nail right on the head when you're saying, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up or Christmas coming up, because, that's falling right in line with deer season. I'd be down at the Broken Skull Ranch. I would say, okay, I don't have to look, like anything for 2 months, because this is when I take my days off. My 2 months, November, December, I just do my podcast. I don't take any other jobs. So I can look like shit. So that would give me, okay, I can make sense of this by, just jumping off and, drinking whatever, but I can't do that anymore because I'm trying to stay in shape. I called you. I don't know if you remember this phone call about 4 months ago. I called you up out of the blue. This was after we crossed paths at the car wash. And I said, hey, Mike, I said, man, if I'm trying to get lean, can I have a couple of beers every night? And you said, no. And you were right. It wasn't the beers. It was just drinking whiskey. I had to cut the alcohol completely out of my diet to achieve. And someone with better genetics than me, they may be able to drink a 6-pack a night and get shredded or look like $1,000,000. Yeah. For me, personally speaking, because I am me and experimenting on my body, with the keto diet that I undertook, dude, that was one of the things. I was doing everything right. All the eating, I was weighing and measuring everything. I can eyeball everything and be within a gram, putting in the work. But that was with my genetic code, having just a little bit of midsection is probably my weak spot. Yep. But dude, that was the key for me. And when I called you and I said, well, I talked to everybody else, and Mike said, hey man, if you really want to get serious about it, every drink you take is going to take you farther away from your goal. So I said, okay. You were kind of the come to Jesus mate, and I know you didn't know that, but I'm telling you.
All right,
so
thanks.
You were the defining factor when I said, okay, man, I'm just going to have to just give up the booze to get to where I want to be.
Yeah, and it's also accumulation. You think, I'm going to have 2 glasses tonight. Then all of a sudden you're like, the next night, maybe 3 glasses. One night. So you look at over a week's period, 20, 30 glasses. You know what I mean? And that's sugar alcohols, that's calories. It's like, oh my God. And it doesn't allow your body to function at max performance either.
Yeah, when you start doing the math like that, it just adds up real quick. And then when you're in your head just rationalizing just one drink, just one a night, then you start adding them up long term, dude. And to lose any kind of weight, you have to be at a caloric deficit. Yep. Alcohol's going to jump in front of the line and curtail all your progress. And it'd be like this. I was thinking about this today because I was on that hunting trip, and I was mad at myself because I'd gotten in real good shape. Didn't get a chance to hit the weights. And I was like, I got to hold myself accountable. That was one of the things that was key to me, going back to what you said, a visualization thing, or take a picture of what you want to look like. I was taking a picture once a week of what I was looking like and seeing the progress. So, I just, out there left my own devices. I can't give myself an excuse.
Yep.
For me.
No excuses. No excuses.
Back to the keys to staying in shape.
Yeah, well, I think, like we talked about game plan and having goals and goal setting. And one of the things, and if all your listeners are in the gym, avid trainers, or they're new, always have a goal. But one of the big things that I find, and you'll probably attest to it, is always leave the ego at the door. Don't bring your ego in when training. You know what I mean? Guys come in, they want to lift too much, too fast, too soon, and nothing worse than having an injury and overcoming injuries. I mean, Steve, you're a testament to being injured. I mean, a good portion of your life, I hate to say it, and it's tough. It's nothing worse. You get depressed, you're not your same, and coming back from injuries, it's a high road to climb.
Dude, what are you training these days? I mean, are you still training heavy? Are you still able to train heavy?
Yeah.
We talk about the 60-pound dumbbells and other stuff.
Yeah,
Man, every time I look at your Instagram account, you've got, 120, $130 sitting on your legs.
Yeah.
Do some presses.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty fortunate, but it's also a testament, I think, to how I take care of myself, my mental process, and my preparation. I'm not just going to go in one day, raw cold, and say, today I'm going to throw the 110s over my head for military presses. Like I did that last week and I felt great, but I knew the night before I had substantial protein, I had extra carbohydrates, I got that extra rest. Because like I said, when I go to the gym, it's a battle for me. That's game day. So I knew today I'm going to try and set, I'm going to set the world on fire today. I'm going to throw these bastards over my head. I'm going to have fun with it. So I have a game plan. I'm properly prepared for it. I don't just go in and be like, I saw the kid just lift, 240. I'm going to go what he did, because that's insane. We're older now. We got to take care of ourselves, but we got to, what we say in Boston, we train smart.
Right. Hey, well, going back to your program, if you're hitting a body part once a week,
yeah.
Just say you're going to train chest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Man, I'm kind of a stick in the mud guy. I'll do the same stuff over and over and over again. That's just kind of how I roll.
Yeah.
Will you mix it up every time?
Absolutely.
Or, okay.
Like it's everything. You got to shock your muscle to stimulate a response. So if you're doing bench press, incline press, flies, you'll get the results, but boy, what happens if you just skip that one day and did all push-ups? So the next time you did a whole series of cables or just, body movements, it's just about shocking your muscle to stimulate a response. And anything you do over a prolonged period of time, your body will get stagnant. It just won't get the response that you need.
So every workout you do is different every single week.
I would say I'm always with dumbbells and iron, so it's like every fifth or sixth workout, I'll just do a variety. But when I'm with the iron, I'll shock it in the way that, okay, I'm going to go heavy today. Or one day I'll just do, all right, I'm going to do 100 rep sets with lightweight, just so I am gassed. Or next day I'll split it up. I'll do 4 sets of 25, 100 rep sets. Or next day I'll be like drop sets. Next day, superset, compound sets. Always have fun with your workout. When people say they're bored with training, boy, that just frustrates me. How can you be bored when you're pushing your body to maximum exhaustion, fatigue, and you get an endorphin rush? If you get bored with training, then you're better off, selling waterbeds.
Hey, man, how would you describe your physique? Just mesomorphic?
Yeah, definitely. That's my body type, sure. Muscular, and I'm blessed. There's no doubt about it. I'm genetically blessed. I can put on muscle pretty easy. I have to work hard, but it just... I started training, and it just, I put on probably from summer to now, I probably put on a good 7 to 10 pounds of just solid muscle. And it's just, of course, it's training, but the guys I train, they will probably take them maybe 6 months to do what I can accomplish in half that time.
But you said you backed off on your cardio to do that.
Yeah. That's because I was a smaller and leaner, so I said I'll try and get as much exertion and heart rate accelerated while training, and just try and I look at it this way. I said, this is probably like, I'm 51. I think I get maybe a good 10 years of just trying to crush the weights and go as hard as possible as I can for the next 10 years. And then maybe I'll take it easy. Maybe.
But being a mesomorph, so I'm just imagining, I'm just thinking, okay, gram per pound of protein for your body. And I'm thinking for you, I'm just guessing now, I'm just thinking you're probably in 200, 250 carbs, and I'm thinking fat maybe 100.
Absolutely. Yeah, right on. Spot on.
That's your diet.
Mm-hmm.
I just pulled that out of my ass and figured that was what it was.
Yeah.
But I figured I knew you weren't going to be heavy on the carbs, but that's enough carbs.
Good moderate. It's always moderate fats, low to moderate fats, moderate carbs, high protein.
How many meals a day?
We'll include in shakes. I'm still trying to eat about 6-7 meals.
How are you with the shakes? You get a lot of people say, "Hey, man, you got to eat all your meals." Man, I drink 2 shakes a day because I ain't got time to eat 6.
Yeah,
I'm eating 6, but I'm drinking 2.
Right. I mean, we're not. Yeah, we don't. It's in a perfect world. Yeah, I would love to have 7 gourmet meals cooked for me, but that's never going to happen. You know what I mean? I feel like if I get 1 gourmet meal cooked for me, it's just not going to happen.
Mike, I did take a different route this last time to get down to what I'm at right now. So I went the keto route.
Okay.
Have you ever experimented with that?
I haven't. You know what I mean? And I encourage people to follow whatever meal plan, whatever diet works for you. But I'm just so old school. And this is my philosophies in life. Do everything sensible. You know, like you said, if I want to gain weight, I'll just increase my protein and carbs. If I want to lose, I'll cut back. I don't follow anything special. I like to enjoy myself. If I want to have a pizza that day, I'm going to have a pizza. But realize the next day, instead of 30 minutes of cardio, I'm going to do 60 minutes of cardio. I mean, my whole life's a scale. It's checks and balances. But it's all sensible. My training is sensible. I try to live a sensible lifestyle. You know, and like, I hate to say it, there's so many fads. With the onset of the internet and all these gurus and experts, it's good, but with so much information comes a lot of misinformation. What works for this person may not work for that. So you got to find what works for you. And for me, and this is my belief, is just everything's got to be sensible.
Hey, man, how do people find you to, get you to train them? I know word of mouth around Hollywood.
Oh, thanks.
You train a lot of movie stars and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, again, my Instagram is Mike_Ryan_celebrity trainer. You can find me there. I'm always at Gold's Gym. I'm a fixture, which is cool. Yeah, this is a quick story. Nadia Comaneci popped in. Remember her? She was
absolutely.
Yeah. She used to train there at the Olympics, and she came. She migrated to the United States. I think she came here illegally. They smuggled her in after the Olympics, and she grew here, raised her family here. But she used to be in the '90s. She was always there, and she hasn't been in whatever. And she popped in. She's like, one of the worst for it. She's like, "Oh my God, you're still here and you still look good." I was like, "Oh, Nadia, thanks, baby. That's awesome."
Hey, man, you still getting up at 4 a.m. every morning?
Surprisingly, I've been getting up at 3:30 these days.
What time do you go to bed?
Oh, boy. If I get a nap in, I'm all set. I can stay up till 10 o'clock, whatever. But, yeah, sleep, sleep's important. It's such a crucial component, but I just don't get the sleep that I want or deserve. But what the hell? It's okay. I don't mind sacrificing.
What's the routine? Get up at 3:30?
Yeah. I get some new business. I got all these international guys coming in, so they get to start their day early, so I'm with them.
So, and then when are you in the gym?
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
So Mike's probably in there already, right?
Yeah, yeah, Mike O'Hearn.
He's like an early guy.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's a handful of guys that are there every day. It's pretty inspiring.
So, and then what's your other business venture?
Right now, I started in the fitness app. So if you need a fitness app, I partner up with this Indian group. My partner's super talented, super creative, and that's the way of the future. Everyone's putting out this information, but I think if you really want to follow people and learn more, I think if you follow their app, you'll get more sound advice from whoever you like and whoever you follow. So if you're interested in a fitness app, find me on Instagram, Mike_Ryan_celebrity train, and we can create an app for you. And it's the wave of the future. Everything's mobile.
Dude, what's going to happen to that Gold's Gym? I heard Google or Yahoo or whoever it was bought it out. What's the story of that?
Yeah, they bought the property. They bought 4 square blocks of Venice. You know what I mean? They drop a hat. But they renewed the lease for 10 years. And here's the coolest thing. When that happened, I'm still I'm a Gold's, I'm still their spokesperson. So when Google purchased it, it was the mayor, the city council, all the Google reps, and they invited Gold's Gym because when it happened, they're like, Jones seems going to get thrown out. And then there was the Venice Chamber, and then there was the neighborhood community, the Icon Community Council, which I never realized had so much pull, historical culture. So, we're just sitting at a table. It's like, nice to meet you, Mike. There was an old guy. Never met him before in my life. I don't even think he goes to Gold's Gym. He was just like, I got to swear, though, because this is a quote. He goes, "If you fucking guys at Google thinking to take Gold's Gym out of this neighborhood, I will fucking run you out of Venice." And I looked at this guy. I'm like, "Wow, man, thanks. That's super cool." And the Google guy's like, Google's like, "No, why would we? Venice is cool. It's so hip for us to say we are next to the world-famous Gold's Gym Venice. When you walk out our door, you'll see Arnold Schwarzenegger. When you walk out our door, you'll see Stone Cold Steve Austin. When you walk out our door, you'll see The Rock." You know what I mean? They love having that. Why wouldn't they? Right. So it's a very cohesive. Who knows what's going to happen down the road? But from now, it's a 10-year lease was just signed again, and goals is. They put in so much money. They have a whole outdoor facility. You got to come by. You know what I mean? Half of the back has been leveled. It's been plain. They roll down turf. They got a whole CrossFit section out back. The other day, I met with all the manufacturers who were replacing and upgrading over 100 pieces of equipment.
Dude, I got to ask you about etiquette. Last time I was at Gold's Gym, before I quit when, what's her name, ran me off, training shoulders. Dude, I was sitting over there, you know where the dumbbell bench press is?
Of course.
And so I was on the bench to the left, doing dumbbell flat bench, and the dude beside me doing the same thing. And, you know, he's working with 80, 90 pounds. It doesn't really matter what he's working with, but he just throws them down, and they damn near just bounced and hit my leg.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just looking at the guy, give him a sideways look. Yeah. And, of course, he just kayfabe me. Just didn't even give me the time of day. And I was about to say, you know, hey, man.
You will eat that dumbbell. You do that again.
Yeah, you know, the damn thing damn near just chop my leg off. Mm-hmm. Or the other guy, the people who do this, they'll get their towel and their water bottle, put it on a flat bench, and they'll be using one next to it. And you say, hey, man, you using that bench? Yeah. And I look at you like shit. And it's like, yeah, man, that's my stuff. Like they needed that bench to put their stuff in. So what has happened to etiquette, man?
There was actually, it's a universal problem. You know what I mean? There's no etiquette anywhere. In gyms these days, I hate to say it, there's no etiquette. And I don't know if it's a millennial thing where they think they deserve this if they earn it. And funny thing, I yelled at a guy the other day, this young kid, he was putting his dumbbells. I said, hey, your dumbbells go over there. He goes, you work here? I said, it doesn't matter if I work or not. You're going to put your dumbbells back. He's like, but I said, you're going to put your dumbbells back. He's going to learn one thing. It's a privilege for you to be in this gym. If you don't think it is, get your shit and get the fuck out of here. And he's like, hey, who is this guy? And I was like, put your dumbbells back. It is. I mean, there's a lack of etiquette in gyms everywhere.
How do you deal with that? Because these days, or last time I was at Gold's Gym, when it gets busy in peak hours, if you're trying to superset, trying to do, some dumbbell bench, with the lat pull is right behind it. So you're trying to go back and forth, do chest and back. And then, man, someone sees the bar still swaying or just saw you go to pick up your dumbbells to start your bench again, and they just jump right in your machine, and they got their ears on, so, they can't hear you, or there might be a posse of them, 2 or 3. All of a sudden, they start hogging up your superset, so you can't train like that anymore. What is going on anymore?
Yeah. It's a cultural thing. I think it's like I said, maybe it's a millennial thing.
What do you think about the gyms that are out there these days? Because there's really no hardcore bodybuilding or powerlifting gyms hardly around anymore, other than go to Sacramento to super training or some dedicated gyms like that. But here in Los Angeles, I drive around a lot. I just don't see them.
Yeah, no, we're dinosaurs. We're dinosaurs but I think everything's cyclical. You know what I mean? In the fads, it was gyms, but then they became aerobic centers, and they were popular for 10 years. Then they turned back to gym. Then they became CrossFit centers, and they turned back to gyms. I think there'll always be a need or a thirst for guys to want to lift weights, and you know what I mean, and just try and crush things and be as big, as strong as possible. So there'll always be a need for cool, kick-ass gyms. But right now, they're gone by the wayside. The good thing about all this miscellaneous CrossFit and all this other thing, it gets people active. You know what I mean? We can bash CrossFit from, you know what I mean? It's good, it's bad, whatever. But one thing it does do, it gets people back in the gym. I mean, we're at alarming numbers of obesity, alarming numbers of overweight people. So if there's any fad or any diet or anything that gets people consciously thinking about, okay, I got to take care of myself, then I'm all for it, And if there's like a little gym down there or a Barry's boot camp down there, great. I'm happy. I mean, I'd rather see people, just fit than not fit.
Hey, man, with your clients, how many people are you working with right now?
It all varies. You know what I mean? Some days I can go 3 people to 13 people.
Well, what about these deals when you're going on trips with some of these people that you're working with?
Yeah.
Are you like that?
I did it for like 10 years, and it's really taxing. And one thing, as you know, it's similar to being wrestling on the road. I mean, your home life suffers. Any relationship you have suffers. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Bubby, I love you, but I'm going to be hanging with, Brad Pitt for 2 months, and they're like, no, you're not, but like, hey, it's my job, So yeah, I mean, things suffer. So my last trip, I spent a couple of trips last year, just local, train with Mickey Rourke, insane madness. But
how is he?
That's for the X-rated show. He's the best. You haven't lived unless you traveled with Mickey Rourke in your life. It is just, it's nonstop. It's insane. The guy doesn't have an off button.
I can't remember what WrestleMania it was. It was the deal when he did the angle. God dang, he went in and traded hands with somebody. Who was
Jericho.
it? Jericho. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
And, man, I was I forget what WrestleMania that was, but I had to be somewhere the next day. We were about to start production on one of my reality shows or something. About 3 a.m, I was going down the elevator because I had to go to the airport, and sure enough, there's Mickey talking to some girl. I mean, cuddle up in an elevator.
3 a.m.
Like, here's Mickey. So I'm like, Hey, man, because he knew who I was.
Yeah,
We
of
didn't
course,
get a chance
absolutely.
to visit.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him all those years in the goals. Of course, I'm a huge fan. I said, hey, man, you get nervous out there tonight? And he was being a big shot or being Mickey.
Yeah.
And, or just being Mickey.
Yeah.
He goes, no, man, I didn't really get nervous out there at all. You know, I had a few fights back in the day. So, no. He played it real cool. And I was like, nah, dude. When you're out there with a Chris Jericho and you got 90,000 people,
screaming,
whatever the event was,
Yeah.
to tell me that you wasn't nervous.
full of shit.
Full of shit.
Absolutely.
But he pulled it off. And I just went with it. It was 3 a.m. I had to get to the airport. And I was still drunk, I think. So I just walked off. Interesting guy.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things he still talks about and raves about was the movie The Wrestler. That was his
Were
opus.
you training him for that?
Well, we did weights, but he went to wrestling school. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and he talks about, he worked with the Samoan boys.
Yeah.
He said that was the toughest thing I've ever did. Learning ring ropes, ringmanship, climbing the ropes, taking bumps, falling. I mean, he to this day, he even says, he's like, that was the hardest thing I've ever did.
He did a good job.
He did.
You know, when I first saw that movie, Seeing The Wrestler was the last movie I've ever seen in a movie theater. I've never gone back. And I'm just not a big fan of going to theaters.
Yeah.
And so I had the flu. I said, ain't nothing for me to do. I feel like shit, so I guess I'll go to Santa Monica to the theater and see The Wrestler. I'd heard all these things about it. So I went in there. I wasn't feeling good. And there was about 6 or 7 people in the theater. Yeah. And about 2 or 3 of them walked out after one of the scenes. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, I watched the movie. And it was like nothing that I'd ever seen, in the business of wrestling. And so I was like, people asked me, hey, man, what'd you think about that movie, The Wrestler, back in the day? I said, man, it wasn't like nothing I'd ever experienced. Yeah. So I didn't think it was that great. But then, when I watched it again and saw exactly, what it was for what it was, I was like, it was an outstanding movie. It was an outstanding performance. Aronofsky, whatever, the director did a fantastic job. It was off the charts. But I was thinking it was supposed to be what I went through. Yeah. It was kind of like, it was really kind of based off that documentary of, it was Jake and
Dallas DDP, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it was kind of loosely based off that. But I thought it was phenomenal. Yeah. Dude, Mickey could have been one of the boys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he would have loved it. He would have been like Ric Flair.
Did you see the 34th
Loved it.
Flair?
Absolutely loved it. It was. I mean, when you guys used to come in town, when they said Ric Flair took his pants off, I remember we all went to Bar One, last call. He gets, and I was like, this is insane. He gets Kevin Nash, a giant glass. He says, fill that full of whiskey. Kevin Nash gets it's me, Kevin, Rick, I think maybe Ted DiBiase. I don't know if you were there. You might have left early. Last call. There's only like 5-6 guys. Yeah. He goes, fill that glass up with whiskey for Kevin Nash and give me 50 shots of kamikazes. I'm like, there's 5 guys here. What do you mean 50 shots? And they come out with a tray of kamikazes. And he's like, the last one, it was like race kamikazes. I'm like, what am I, everyone's just shaking their head. I'm calling people over. I did like 2 or 3. I'm hallucinating. On like his 11th one, Rick gets on the bar. And he starts dancing, going crazy. This is the last call. And people no one wanted to leave because it was so fun. He's going nuts. He's doing his walk, he's doing his strut. And he's screaming. He's like, my socks keep falling down. He's like, Kevin, my socks keep falling down. Kevin's just like, well, pull him up. He goes, damn it, I'll pull him up. He takes his pants off, no undies, and just pulls up these vibrant pink socks on up to his calves. And I'm like, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And just parading around bare ass on a bar in Hollywood. It was epic.
Hey, man, I always say that Ric Flair is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. But you got a chance to see Bruno's prime. So many consider him and that talk with Hogan or anybody. But from your perspective and being around Flair and hanging with him, I think he's the best to ever do it. Yeah. And seeing the 30 for 30. Your thoughts on the best ever?
Yeah, I'd have to say for showmanship, desire, dedication, never put in a half-ass effort. You know what I mean? From day one, probably when we started, 1970 whatever till 2000 whatever, never seen a half-ass effort. I mean, he sold, he made people better. People love working with him. his promos. I mean, he was just awesome. You know what I mean? He was just so epic. I mean, his lines were great. I mean, he was Space Mountain.
Hey,
but you were up there too, man. Yeah, come on. I loved you. When you came out, Austin just kicked 316 of your ass. That was mind blowing. You know what I mean? Here's the guy holier than thou, and you just threw it in his face, and the place erupted. It erupted, and you were awesome. Come on, because you're so mild, man, and that glass would break. I mean, chills would come up and down. The place is electric. It would go nuts. It was so much fun,
dude. I had a great time going to work, and I had a blast. So I put myself in a conversation. But Flair's the greatest to do it of all time, and I was a big Bruno fan after seeing a lot of his stuff, on YouTube and stuff. But we got to talk about wrestling and everything else. Uncensored on Unleashed. So I'm inviting you back. Let's cut it short here because I know you got a client to go to, and I got to turn the show in. Yeah. But we got to do it without a filter. And I said, man, I want to talk to Mike Ryan because I've been telling you every time I saw you at the car wash, we're supposed to eat breakfast and we're supposed to do a podcast.
Right.
I said, God damn, we're going to do a podcast with Mike.
Now we get breakfast.
Okay, but let's skip on the Tuesday show and let's go right to the Thursday show and let's go Unleashed.
That'd be awesome.
All right, Mike Ryan today, trainer of the stars, trainer of regular everyday people, hardworking guy, blue-collar guy from Boston. On Instagram, he is
Mike_Ryan_celebrity trainer.
Mike Ryan, Steve Austin, we're out.
Now on PodcastOne Sports, it's a family affair on Attack Each Day, the Harbaugh's podcast.
We're going to attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Hear incredible stories on Sound of Success, the Dick Enberg podcast. Oh, my. And guess who's talking America's favorite basketball team?
Hey, it's Jay Moore, and it is time for America's Lakers podcast.
Listen on Apple Podcasts, the new PodcastOne app, and where else, Jay?
PodcastOne.com.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off in the sunset. Before we do that, I want to say thanks to my guest today, Mike Ryan, trainer of the stars here in Venice, California, stopping by and shooting a breeze with me today. Mike, you got to come back when we do the Unleashed show so we can let it fly. Enjoyed talking to you. Hey, man, ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin has all the shirts that I wore on previous seasons of Broken Skull Challenge, and it'll have all the shirts I'm wearing now. The baddest, toughest, coolest show on television. Every Tuesday night, 10, 9 Central. Make sure you tune in. The athletes are about to crank it up to a whole nother level. I guarantee it. Hey, man, I got a badass IPA. It's called Broken Skull IPA at El Segundo Brewing Company. You can get Broken Skull IPA at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California. If you ain't in Cali, check InsideTheCellar.com and see if they ship to your state. If you're looking to get either the Cold Steel Broken Skull knife or the new Working Man's knife, you can get them at my new Amazon store. Amazon has the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin. And I got to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. And you can find all of my sponsors at PodcastOne.com. Just click on the Killer Deals button at the top of the page and then click on the Steve Austin Show banner. Speaking of Podcast One, a new Podcast One app is now available for download at the App Store or Google Play. There ain't another podcast app like this one anywhere, and that's because the new Podcast One app is loaded with some cool features that lets you do a lot more than just listen to your favorite shows. You can access behind-the-scenes photos, articles, and connect with other fans of the shows you like. And you can watch over 1,000 360 virtual reality videos. You can actually watch some of your favorite shows in virtual reality. It's like you're sitting in a room with them. So get to the App Store, Google Play, and download the new Podcast One app now. Folks, until next time, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.